Kiev. After months of tensions and clashes on the border, the Sudanese and South Sudanese heads of states have met and shaken hands.
The UN Observer Mission in Syria has confirmed that an alleged massacre in the Syrian village of Tremse targeted the homes of opposition fighters and army deserters. This follows claims by anti-Assad groups that the Syrian army used tanks and army helicopters to bombard villages, killing more than 130 civilians, most of them women and children. We have more in this report.
After going to Tremse in a convoy, UN observers said that the violence there had targeted the homes of Syrian army deserters and opposition activists. The UN observers said that various types of weaponry had been used during the clashes.
We are in Tremse now. We entered today at 8:30 in the morning. We're continuing to verify the facts. We can confirm that there was a military operation on July 12th on Thursday. The attacks appeared targeted towards specific homes of activists as well as army defectors.
The UN observers were not obliged to request special authorization to go to Tremse and try to determine exactly what happened there.
Are these Kofi Annan's and the Security Council's reforms? And Ahmadinejad and Lavrov and Boutain Shaban and Walid Mualem and the traitor Manif Tias?
The Syrian government says that there was no massacre there. It denies that it used tanks and helicopters during military operations in Tremse.
Government forces did not use planes or helicopters or tanks or artillery. Everything that was said about using artillery to attack a 1 kilometer sized village is not true.
It is difficult to get a clear picture of the situation, but the ongoing violence did result in at least 115 deaths on Saturday.
The opening of NATO supply routes in Pakistan has angered people as thousands take to the streets demanding the closure of the routes. Hundreds of protesters in Saudi Arabia's Shiite provinces have been calling for the release of a Shiite cleric arrested by authorities there. And in the US, the Green Party has unveiled its challenger to the mainstream Democratic and Republican candidates in the November race for the White House job. For more on those stories and others, we go with this roundup.
People came out to demonstrate in Peshawar, Pakistan in the north near the border with Afghanistan. They protested against the reopening of supply lines for US-led NATO forces in Afghanistan. The supply routes were closed for 7 months after a NATO airstrike killed 24 Pakistani soldiers in November. In southern Pakistan, in the city Quetta, religious groups also protested. The Defense of Pakistan Council, comprised of 40 religious groups, planned to march to the border town Chaman in protest over the reopening of the supply lines. This amateur video footage shows a police station on fire in Awamiya in eastern Saudi Arabia as police cars rush to the scene. The footage cannot be independently verified. 4 people attacked the police station. They opened fire and one of the attackers threw a firebomb at the station. The police shot and killed one of the men. The eastern province is predominantly Shiite Muslim, while the country has a Sunni majority. Earlier this week, 2 men were killed in eastern province during protest after the arrest of a Shiite cleric. Kurdish protesters and police clashed in the southeastern city of Diyarbakir on Saturday. The protesters are calling for the release of the leader of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, Abdullah Öcalan. Police fired water cannons and tear gas at protesters when hundreds of demonstrators clashed with security forces using sticks and stones. Around 20 people were wounded, including a pro-Kurdish deputy. The Kurdistan Workers' Party want to create a separate, independent Kurdish state. Jill Stein is running against U.S. President Barack Obama and his Republican rival Mitt Romney in the presidential election. And the United States, there aren't only the Republican and Democratic parties, there is also the Green Party, and Jill Stein is their candidate. 62-year-old Stein is a doctor. She intends to make the Green Party's voice heard. In political debate in the United States, the Green Party is marginalized. But now, Stein looks set to be on the voting ballot in every state by election time.
And time now to take another short break. We'll take a look at the sports in just a moment.
It is a story of a land, of a people, where communication has been our song, our drumbeat. We sing with hearts full of joy. We dream of a better future, one that is upon us now. This is who we are. We are close to the heart of the world. We are as old as time. The soul of man began with us. We are Africa.
Welcome back to the news and to the sports now. The Olympic Games have always had a special significance for different reasons and for so many different people as well over the years. When London 2012 comes around later this month, poignant events from 56 years ago will come flooding back. CNN's Alex Wolf reports.
It's late October 1956 and there's unrest in Hungary. The people have risen up against the country's Soviet-backed government. Bullets fill the streets.
And I heard, you know, you heard the bullets flying above your head.
It was already in full swing. People running around with guns, a few people hanged.
Amidst the smoke and gunfire, Laszlo Tabori, Nick Martin, and Joe Gerlach have a different mission. They and their teammates prepare to leave for the Summer Olympics in Australia. Despite the chaos, Hungarian Olympic officials have vowed to send a team. So this is the bus that took you out of Budapest?
Yeah, and they put the Olympic rings on it, you know, so it's the Olympia, not the troublemakers. We bypassed many Russian blocks, you know, they blocked the street.
We decided, hell, we will represent the devil himself just to get out of there.
When the team left for the games, it seemed the popular uprising had successfully overthrown the communist government. The athletes thought they'd left a newly free Hungary. Only upon arriving in Australia did it become clear the revolution had been crushed. Now, as the Olympians were marching in Melbourne, Soviet troops were marching in Budapest. The full extent of what happened back home, was it still a mystery, or how did you...
Absolutely. We had no idea. No idea.
We just heard rumors, this is happening, that happening, but it was just rumors.
For most Olympic athletes, the Games are an ending, the culmination of years of hard work. But for 30 members of the 1956 Hungarian Olympic team, they were a starting point, the beginning of a new life in America. Each faced a choice provided by Henry Luce, the anti-communist publisher of Sports Illustrated, who, in hoping to gain publicity for the young magazine, arranged for refugee status in the U.S. for anyone wanting to defect. The team was split.
We just did not know what to do. What are we going to do after the Games?
By day, the Hungarian athletes would compete. Martin's water polo squad won gold. Gerlach placed fourth in diving, and Tabori just missed a medal in the 1,500 meters by hundredths of a second. But by night, they would agonize over what to do at the end of the Games. Return home or find a new one.
Like every young man thinks, you know, when he's young, he can conquer the world. I thought that myself too, but it then came out that way, you know. It was just reversed. The world conquered me.
Only about a third of the team took the offer, and many of those settled in California, their first stop upon defecting.
You know, I was really born in 1950.
Quick check of the sports day before we end the news. A reminder of the headlines. National Assembly members have capitalized on their summer break to play their part in the National Food Self-Sufficiency Drive. Banjulians and the police have jointly staged a forum devoted to advancing the community policing concept and justice delivery. The arrest of a Shiite cleric has sparked protests involving hundreds of people in Shiite provinces of Saudi Arabia. And African leaders meeting in Addis Ababa have condemned the situation in DR Congo